The U.S. President Donald Trump escaped injury and was whisked away by the Secret Service after a man armed with guns and knives stormed the lobby and opened fire at the venue where the annual White House Correspondents Dinner was being held. Other top Trump administration officials were also evacuated unharmed. Police say they have the suspect in custody, 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen from Torrance, California. For more on this, I'm joined on set by our international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert. But first, why don't we take a listen to some of President Trump's remarks?
The people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people.
So, Doug, that's quite a takeaway there from President Trump on what happened in Washington.
Yeah, look, Donald Trump manages and has managed in the past to turn even something that's extremely serious, a tragic incident, an assassination attempt against the commander-in-chief, into a vehicle for self-aggrandizement, for sort of once again becoming self-referential. So if he was targeted, if he seems more vulnerable than past presidents, it's because he's so impactful. It's because he's doing such a great job. He compared himself at one point to Abraham Lincoln. Really the message being the implicit and not so implicit message being that if I am the target of these types of attempts, it's because I'm doing something right and something great, something that other lesser presidents who haven't been the targets, i.e. but unspoken, say Barack Obama, Joe Biden, something that they're not doing. So once again, it all sort of redounds back. It comes back to Donald Trump's ego. That said, you could say he was very zen up there. He was pretty calm and composed. He walks out into a White House press conference, a little over an hour after you have what's being described as, an apparent assassination attempt, perhaps an attempt not just on him, but on members of his cabinet. Other high officials gathered at this most glitzy, buzziest night of the year, this White House Correspondents Dinner, supposed to be a celebration of the press, so on and so forth. Donald Trump has almost incorporated assassination attempts. And remember, this is the third one against him in 3 years. One came close to perhaps killing him, the one that grazed his ear in Butler, Pennsylvania. And when I say they've become part of his aura, he's turned them into political rocket fuel, in a sense. And he's been very savvy in the way he communicates about them. Because you remember with Butler back in 2024, the rally there, where his ear was grazed and he ducked and then he rose up. It became an iconic image of him pumping his fist. A lot of conspiracy theories came about after that. Even among his MAGA supporters today, a lot saying it was staged, it was orchestrated. So even that, there's a lot of speculation today. Obviously, no substantiated evidence, nothing to corroborate those claims, but still part of the conspiracies. Other people in his MAGA movement using that attempt in Butler in 2024 to basically say that it's a sign that Donald Trump is, in fact, the selected one. He is divinely chosen. That's why his life was spared. Even though his ear was grazed, he turned his head just in the nick of time. And we're seeing sort of a similar dynamic in play here. We're seeing it once again. Donald Trump, once again, the miracle survivor, time and again. He comes dangerously close. People come within close proximity to him, try to get him, but Donald Trump is there to do the work of the people, and nothing is going to distract him and deter him from that mission. So even as you saw a very serious, a solemn Donald Trump last night, still in his tuxedo after that event, surrounded by his cabinet officials as he spoke to reporters. At the same time, there was a sense that he was already incorporating this latest attempt into something that he will use to sort of fuel his image, both among his supporters and perhaps beyond, as the midterms loom just down the road. I'll say the one thing that he did say in his reaction, which was perhaps unusual, is it made him nice to reporters. He actually complimented the reporters for their coverage in the immediate aftermath of this attempt. He had been planning, apparently, to savage the gathered press in the speech that he didn't end up giving last night.
Now, Doug, as you mentioned, this wasn't the first time that Trump has been targeted. We do appear to be seeing an uptick in political violence in the United States, maybe as evidence of a more polarized American society. So my question to you is, do you think Americans risk becoming almost numb to these types of incidents?
Well, there's definitely, if not numb, there is a sense of this is the new normal, in a sense. You see incidents like this, it almost becomes immediately part of memes, an infotainment narrative, if you will. There's something almost like people getting adrenaline rush. It spreads across the internet. The memes pop up left and right. It's becoming normalized in the sense, when you think of it, up until Donald Trump's, presidency, both first and now this Trump 2.0, you only had four. You had four presidents assassinated in American history, aside from Lincoln and JFK. Obviously, you had Garfield and McKinley, the lesser-known assassins. Four over a more than 200-plus-year history, and then you have Donald Trump in the space of 3 years having 3 attempts against him. So when I say it's becoming the new normal, this sense of political violence being now just part of the DNA, almost like hardwired into the chromosome of American political culture and American political life. You can't really escape it. You've had many incidents, not just Charlie Kirk speaking in Utah at the Turning Point USA conservative movement rally. He was assassinated. Before that, you had Minnesota state representative and her husband, Democrats. They were assassinated. It goes across the political spectrum. There's a sense that perhaps political violence has always been a strong undercurrent in American culture. There's nothing new about that. You could say it's a violent political culture. But what you do now have is a sense perhaps people are more emboldened, and the normalization that we're seeing in these types of incidents make each successive incident of this kind seem, if not less tragic, at least a little more to be expected. However unexpected they all should be. And that's been a lot of the reaction from outside the U.S., that this type of violence should never be a part of any culture, any political culture, especially in a democracy.
Doug, thank you very much. It's always great to have you on set with us. That's